In 2023, I made visits to South Korea and Taiwan and completed my goal of riding every permanent roller coaster in Australia, including one that no one knew existed. I gained 41 new credits, taking my total count to 75 coasters at 31 parks in 5 different countries. And now, as we head towards the end of the year, the time has come to count down my top 50 roller coasters. This video will be split into 2 parts. Today's video will count down positions 50 to 26, and my top 25 will release next week. For those who are unfamiliar with my ranking system, I give each roller coaster a score based on their average score over 8 categories: forces, layout, intensity, pacing, presentation, comfort, efficiency, and fun. Sometimes coasters that do badly in one category might do really well in another, so I'll explain where each coaster scored well in each position. I tend to favour forceful and intense rides with good theming and a comfortable ride experience. I don't expect anyone to rank these coasters the same way I do, so please keep in mind this is my personal opinion. I welcome your discussion below, but please keep your feedback respectful. Without further ado, let's begin my top 50 for 2023. Number 50. Herky and Timmy's Racing Coaster at Everland. This Vekoma roller skater runs much smoother than most, and also currently runs its train backwards. This made for a fun and strange little ride experience. It was well presented and ran reasonably efficiently too. It's nothing special, but the unique experience of riding backwards made it fun and forceful enough to sneak into my top 50. Number 49. Snoopy's Great Race at Universal Studios Japan. The first defunct credit on the list is one that I rode many years ago on my first visit to Japan. This ride was a Senyo Kogyo equivalent to a roller skater, and it had great theming that told a fun little story. From what I remember, it rode reasonably comfortably, but it was the interactive theming elements that truly made the ride what it was. Number 48. Roof Junior Coaster at Ida Theme Park. As the name suggests, this Fabry spinning mouse is located on the roof of Ida's indoor theme park section, and for that reason, it has great views. The spinning can be quite fun, but overall the ride experience was ruined by the mid-course brakes, which consistently slowed the car down to almost a halt, which is very strange. It's just an okay ride. Number 47. Dark Ride at Ida Theme Park. Coming in slightly ahead of its sister at the park is Dark Ride, a Vekoma roller skater with the new generation trains and track. It's a comfortable and fun ride, and the theming elements and fast pacing in the dark make it super re-rideable. However, the heavy trim brakes on the first drop were a real buzzkill, and I found it was one of the least forceful of Taiwan's roller skaters. Number 46. Scenic Railway at Luna Park, Melbourne. The roller coaster history buff in me would love to rank this higher, but objectively speaking, it's not that great of a coaster. You can occasionally get some nice airtime in the back if you have a gutsy brakeman, but a ride on the Great Scenic Railway is more about the history, the unique credit, and the nice views of St Kilda Beach. It's quite a slow and meandering ride overall.
We are so old.
Number 45. Spartan Race at Vinwonder's Phu Quoc. This Vekoma family boomerang was a little underwhelming for me. It was one of the only attractions from the old Vinwonders to retain its place when the park was rebuilt in 2020, so the train and theming don't really match. The reverse leg was a little bit too slow, and the whole thing ran with a slight shuffle. But I definitely don't mind this little ride model. Number 44. Laser Blaster at Window on China Theme Park. This indoor Vekoma roller skater was one of the most surprising coasters in Taiwan. It features a long custom layout and indoor lighting effects, which is a nice combination. The layout is a little bit heavy on the laterals on one side over the other, so it can be quite uncomfortable, but for a coaster at such a small park, it was very re-rideable and fun. Number 43. Roller Coaster at Taipei Children's Amusement Park. Our trip to Taiwan got off to a fantastic start with this little IE Park family coaster. It features a rather forceful first drop and some nice lateral moments, and it runs very smoothly. It's a slightly short layout, and the seats and restraints are just absolutely baffling, but I was left with a rather good first impression of IE Park as a manufacturer.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Number 42. Boomerang at Luna Park, Sydney. While I have a very soft spot for it as it's in my home park, Boomerang is just okay overall. It does have nice pace and some slight positives in airtime, and it runs very smoothly. I prefer the Gerstlauer family shuttle model over Vekoma's so far, but it's a short ride and generally on the tamer side of the family category, so I can't rank it too highly. Number 41, Surf Rider at Wet n Wild Gold Coast. Intamin surf riders are nothing to write home about, but my few experiences on Wet n Wild's now relocated installation were decent. You can get some nauseating sideways flow to airtime, and if your side of the car is unbalanced, you can also get some crazy spinning moments. At the end of the day, it's just a U-shuttle, but it can be a hell of a lot of fun. Number 40, Sapphire Speedster Coaster at Magic Mountain Merimbula. I can only sum this ride up with the words, just okay. I think Magic Mountain have maintained their Pinfari Zyklon quite well because it isn't rough or uncomfortable at all, aside from one or two janky transitions. However, it also doesn't do much of note. The drops can be fun and the helixes provide a bit of force, but this one is just fine and probably not worth the long distance travel for most. Number 39, Crazy Coaster, a travelling model in Australia. This Revachon spinning mouse has a weaker layout than the other one I've ridden, but they can still be quite entertaining and re-rideable for the wild forces you get when spinning. The laterals can be absolutely insane. I don't like Revachon's lap bars at all though. If you face the wrong direction around a sharp turn, they can absolutely punch you in the guts. Number 38, Ipanema Skate Ride at Vin Wonders Phu Quoc. This is by far the stronger of the two Intamin surf riders I've ridden, simply because it has lap bars rather than over-the-shoulder restraints. This adds amazingly to the flow to airtime on the spikes, and also makes the spinning sensation even wilder. It's still nothing to write home about, but it was fun and definitely a re-rideable ride. Number 37, Screaming Condor at Liufu Village Theme Park. Screaming Condor was the biggest letdown of the Taiwan trip. I expected this to rank highly with the stats it boasts. However, while the launch was great and the positives at the base of each spike were powerful, there was no float whatsoever at the peak of each spike. In fact, I only found the ride uncomfortable as the twist in the front seats caused headbanging. Number 36, Armada Invincible at Formosan Aboriginal Culture Village. This was Formosan Aboriginal Culture Village's weakest coaster, but the excellent theming and interactive water elements more than make up for it. It has a good splashdown and some fun geyser effects that definitely didn't scare the crap out of me.
Fucking scared the shit out of me.
The layout is dull and the ride definitely shuffles, but it's a decent enough flume and it looks great. Number 35, Arkham Asylum Shock Therapy at Warner Brothers Movie World.
You serious?
I know, right? What the hell am I talking about? But while Movie World's now defunct Vekoma SLC scores awfully for comfort due to those thigh-crushing comeback restraints, there's no denying that the layout was super forceful and the theming was pretty well done. In a magical universe where Vekoma SLCs were smooth, this might have been one of my favourite coasters. Number 34, Project Zero at Gumbaya World. This ride was relocated from Dreamworld where it operated as Buzzsaw, but I think I marginally prefer Dreamworld's old iteration. Gumbaya World's theming is slightly generic and feels a little empty, and while their restoration of the ride definitely improved it, there is still a noticeable shuffle which can get very uncomfortable since the ride is so forceful. Number 33, Rolling X-Train at Everland. Everland's Arrow Looper was surprisingly comfortable. Despite its bulky over-the-shoulder restraints, it didn't really cause any headbanging. The loops were forceful and the helix was great. The layout is a little bit uninspiring, but I actually really liked this ride. It almost made up for T-Express being closed for maintenance. Almost. Number 32, Mayan Adventure at Formosan Aboriginal Culture Village.
What? What the fuck?
Again with the SLCs. I do hate them as a ride model, and the headbanging on this one was atrocious, but it gains even more extra points for its stunning presentation. I won't deny that the interaction with the waterfall was possibly one of my favourite moments on any coaster in Taiwan. Again, if this ride was smooth, it would rank very highly. Number 31, Buzzsaw at Dreamworld.
That man's an imposter.
That man is the imposter.
Dreamworld's iteration of the Maurus Skyloop ranks higher than Project Zero for a few reasons. The theming, while not great, was certainly less empty than Gombaya World's. And when I first rode Buzzsaw in 2014, it ran perfectly smooth, meaning I enjoyed the intense experience a lot more. It did quickly deteriorate, but I still have good memories of my first rides. Number 30. Dingo Racer at Aussie World. Aussie World introduced us to the new Reverchon spinning mouse layout, which I found to be fun and forceful. I again have issues with those lap bars, and while the theming is great, it's also confusing. The finale is also quite janky, but overall it offers a forceful and fun ride experience while also being very re-rideable. It's a great addition for the park. Number 29. Wild Mouse at Luna Park Sydney. I cannot wait for this ride to return from its renovation. The wooden Wild Mouse is an unmatched experience. Adding wooden roughness to a Wild Mouse layout results in shocking laterals and airtime and an out-of-control sensation that makes you feel like you're going to cannon off the edge. It's been such a long time between rides, but it retains a place in my top 30. Number 28. Big Air at Edar Theme Park. I did not have high hopes for this ride, but it pleasantly surprised me with a solid 5 seconds of weightlessness on the backwards spike and an insane drop from the top of the 200-foot structure. While I wish I got to experience this one-of-a-kind model when it operated as a spinning coaster, I have to give it kudos for how utterly insane it is, even as a boring U-shuttle. Number 27. Storm Coaster at SeaWorld. Its layout is short and the theming is underwhelming when compared to the flume ride it replaced, but Storm Coaster is just fun. The floater airtime off the final drop is superb, and while I'm critical of the theming in context, I'll admit it's quite excellent objectively speaking. This is one that I always go back to ride on every visit, and while it's nothing special, it always makes me smile. Number 26. Gold Coaster at Dreamworld. This arrow looper has found its way much higher on my rankings thanks to the Vekoma vest restraints that eliminate headbanging and a few good rides recently. It's got a strange layout, but it's very forceful, particularly the two inversions and the awesome turnaround under the water slide structure. It's still a little janky in moments, but no longer painful, and that makes it very enjoyable. That wraps up part 1 of my top 50 coasters as of the end of 2023. Stay tuned for part 2 coming next week. Please consider liking and subscribing, and I will see you next time.